Good morning, students of class 7. Welcome to history class. We are reading chapter 10, The Far East in the Middle Ages. And our lesson for today is section 10.5, The Song Period in China. With the fall of the Tang Dynasty, political confusion again reigned supreme in China. At that time, 5 dynasties ruled over the various regions of China, and the Song Dynasty rose out of this chaos. So Tang Dynasty came to an end at around 907 AD, and after that there was a political chaos in China, and many regional rulers, they started acquiring kingdoms, and there were 5 such dynasties who ruled over 10 kingdoms during that period after the fall of Tang Dynasty. Now it was with the rise of Song Dynasty that this China was again unified, and the Song Dynasty ruled China from 960 to 1279 AD, with the reign split into two periods, the Northern Song and the Southern Song. So after the end of Tang Dynasty, there was political confusion. The unified China was again split into several kingdoms, and 5 dynasties ruled in that portions. And it was with the rise of Song Dynasty again this splitted China was unified. Now the question is, who formed the Song Dynasty? The Zhou general Shao Kuang-yin was the founder of Song Dynasty, which ruled China for about 300 years. So, as we discussed, that there was chaos and political void caused by the collapse of Tang Dynasty, and this led to the breakup of China into 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms. But one warlord would rise to challenge and collect at least some of the various states back into resemblance of unified China. Song Dynasty was thus founded by later Zhou general Zhou Kuang-yin, who was also called Shao Kuang-yin, who was endorsed as emperor by the army in 960 AD. So this warlord Zhou Kuang-yin, he tried to unify China. He tried to take these territories, these splitted territories from the rulers, and tried to unify it under his rule. And he was succeeded in his mission. He succeeded in his mission, and in 1960 he started the Song Dynasty. And it was after that he got his reign title Taizu. That is another name for him, and that is also a way which we know him. So Song period in China was one of cultural advancement and political unity, and the civilization of Song China surpassed the advancement under the Tang. So the advancement that Tang dynasty received was surpassed by that of the Song dynasty. So they were more advanced in comparison to the Tang dynasty. Now, while discussing about the Song dynasty and its achievement, we need to know about this famous minister Wang Anshi. Now, the Emperor Shenzong, who was most probably 6th emperor of this dynasty, who reigned from 1067 to 1085 AD, came to the throne determined to tackle the financial problems that prevailed during that time. So, this Song Dynasty faced several financial problems, and this Emperor Shen Song, he was determined to tackle these problems, to solve these problems, and for that reason, in 1067 AD, he appointed Wang Anshi as the chief counselor or prime minister, who initiated a series of economic, military, and educational reforms. So, he made some laws which were very effective to control these financial problems, and the laws that he made were not only economical, but it was related to military and educational too. Now, the fundamental changes that Wang Anshi brought about in the prevalent economic system of the country is famously known as New Laws. It was because of the reformist activities that Shen Xiang's rule is regarded as the period of revolutionary rule in China. The salient features of the new laws are state control over trade and commerce, liberal loans to the peasants, land measurement, introduction of wealth tax, etc. Now, in our lesson, we will focus into the economical reforms that Wang Anshi brought about through his reforms. So, the first one is on the economic front. Wang Anshi first installed the central economic manipulation policy, which had been known in the Han Dynasty as the leveling system. What is that? Under this policy, the government bought specialized product from one region and sold them in other regions in order to stabilize prices and use the profits. This measure helped increase government revenues, but it conflicted with the interest of the large interstate merchants. What is that? So, to prevent these big merchants from increasing the price of food, grains, or other articles of daily use at their will, Wang Anshi nationalized trade and commerce. This step increased the state revenue and immensely benefited the common people. Nationalize the state trade and commerce means they fixed a particular rate of everything, and it was government who is to buy from the merchants, and government sold it to the common people. So they maintained a particular price for a particular product. So in this way, what happened, government could earn revenue from the common people, and the big merchants, they could not take any prices at their will. So for example, from one they are taking 10 rupees for a product, and from the other at their will they wish to take 20 rupees, they could not do that. So it became a little problem for these big merchants. So this was the first reform. The second was Wang Anshi provided government loans to peasants at a 20 or 30% interest rates, a comparably low figure. Some private moneylenders charge rates as high as 70%. This new policy helped poor farmers to maintain themselves, but it hurt the profits of the private moneylenders. So the second one is reform made to save the poor peasants from the oppression of moneylenders. So government loans were available to the peasants during the planting seasons at a lower rate of interest. So it is needless to say that the peasants were benefited by this. But who were facing the problems due to this? Definitely the private moneylenders, because now the poor peasants went to government for their loan, and not this money lenders. So this was the second reform. The third was Wang Anshi ordered a survey in order to correct existing inequities in the land tax. He eliminated the old system and in its place instituted a graduated scale of taxes based on productivity of land rather than the size of acreage. So what he did, the tax that government would collect from the common people due to their land should not be on the basis of the amount of land that people had, but on the basis of productivity, that is the thing they are producing. Say for example, farmer, whatever, say the farmer has 10 acres of land, so the tax would not be collected on the basis of the 10 acre, that is the size of the land, rather from on the basis of the productivity for the crops that they are growing, the revenue that they are generating. From on the basis of that revenue, the government will collect the tax. So what will happen, say for in 1 year, uh, say for example, the farmer produced a crops which earned him 10,000 rupees, for example. So he will give the tax on the basis of that 10,000 rupees, and on the next year, maybe due to some reason, he earned a revenue of 5,000 from that. So he will give the tax on the basis of that 5,000, the revenue that is collected, and not on the basis of that land. So that was his third reform. And also he created another reform, that is he made arrangements for land measurement and tax accordingly. What is that? To prevent the landlords and the high officials from hiding their land, Wang Anshi made arrangements for land measurements, and the landlords and the officials were taxed without exception. That means whoever is landlord and the official, initially they were not giving the tax because they were holding a powerful position, but now during this rule of Shen Shang, you have to give the tax according to the reform made by Wang Anshi. So naturally, when all these reforms were brought into the forefront, common people, peasants were definitely, they were being benefited by this, but the big merchants, landlords, officials, they were suffering from it because they could not earn that extra money that they were earning earlier. So naturally, Wang Anshi's reforms measures were highly controversial. While many of his reforms, such as graduated tax, low interest government loans, or price regulation, protected average farmers and increased tax revenues, they also hurt interest of different social groups, particularly the large landlords, moneylenders, and merchants. Opposition forces vehemently attacked Wang Anshi, who lost his power upon the death of Shanzhuang in 1085 AD. So, after the death of the emperor who appointed him, this Wang Anshi lost his power. So, big officials and the landlord resented the new laws, and after the death of the emperor and Wang Anshi, the new laws were virtually suspended. So, after the death of the emperor, these laws which Wang Anshi made were not in use. Now, the Song period is one of the most brilliant in achievements in civilization in the history of China. In addition to literary activity, the Song period witnessed the cultivation of science and mathematics. And with the advancement of in science, there was several advances in agriculture. During Song Dynasty, farming reached new heights due to new irrigation techniques. The dragon bone device allowed one person to do the work of several in digging an underground well. This was a lightweight portable pump that a farmer could scoop up water and pour into an irrigation canal. So you see, during that time there were several scientific advances. An example of one such is this dragon bone device. It helped the people in irrigation. Not only in the field of mathematics and science, there was advancement in literary activity, art, and culture too. Now, the famous poet of the Sung period was Sung Tung Po, whose works are celebrated even today. So, under the initiative of the Sung rulers, the histories of the Chinese ruling families were composed. That was all for today. Now, it is your task to read section 10.5 from your book and see whether you are having any problem understanding it or not. If you have any query, you can send your query during the class hour at the given mail ID. Thank